available. I have also added the link, the recording link to the repository as well. So that is also updated over here. You can go ahead and check that out. And the assignment link, the previous assignment link, that is also available over there, right? So I have added 3 assignment links so far, one for HTML, CSS, one for JavaScript, and one for React. There is another React assignment which I will be sharing with you today. So that's the 4th assignment that you have to work on. Again, so Prabha, the team will reach out to you regarding the form. I don't really have access to that. But yes, so like I was telling you, there is one more assignment which is for this week. I'll be sharing that with you as well, right? And yes, so you might have already received an email with your team details, or where you have to fill your team details for the project, right? So since a lot of you requested us that we want to choose our own team members, we have sent a form on your emails. I'm sure you must have received it, right? So there you have to choose a project as well as your team selection, right? So please make sure you take some time out and fill it as soon as possible. So try to finish it off by today itself, right? So after the session, just connect with your teammates, whoever you want to have in a group, and make sure you fill that in as soon as you can, right? Because based on that only we can actually start working on the project, right? So yes, Monday onwards, we'll begin with the project. So I'll guide you on Monday. I'll tell you what the first step should be, how should you go about the whole thing. But before that, please make sure that you have a topic selected and your team members are finalized. So again, the email regarding that must have reached everyone, right? We've made sure that it has reached every one of you. So please make sure that you check that email and respond to it, fill the form as soon as you can, right? Perfect. So yes, try to fill it as soon as possible. Rahul, we'll start from Monday. So before that, please make sure you fill it in, right? And yes, Akhila, abstract will be given by us after you select the project, right? So based on the project topic you select, we'll send you the abstract as well, right? Again, so you have received emails. Please check your spam. Please check promotions. Check your inbox. The same ID that you have used to register with TapTap, you should have received an email over there, right? If you did not receive it, just check with your friends from the same college. Somebody in your group must have. Everybody will have received it, but just in case, right? If you haven't, please make sure you can choose. You have it with you, right? So yes, we have sent the email to everybody. Please check you have received it. Yes, so that's basically that update. And yes, so like I said, there is one more assignment that is due, that will I will share with you today. In just a minute, I'll just share the next assignment as well, right? So far I have shared 3 assignments. The first one was HTML, CSS. The second one was JavaScript. The third one was React. And today, the 4th assignment is also React based. Then we'll have one more assignment the next week, which is going to be based on the backend, which we start discussing from today. Right. So from today onwards, we will start our discussion on backend. Now, in the previous session, if you remember, we have created this React project, right? And that is what the assignment is also based on. So just like we created the menu filters over here, in a similar way, we are going to go ahead and create the assignment as well. So let me just show that to you now. I'll just open up the assignment and I'll give you a quick walkthrough of what needs to be done in that assignment. So let me just copy the link. And of course, I'll also share the assignment link with you. And I will also add it to the repository as well. So there we go. Here is the assignment, right? So don't worry about the assignment numbers. You just have to focus on getting this done. So this is similar to our menu project. Now listen very carefully. There are a couple of things that you need to know about the assignment before you can work on it. So first up, you can see here there's an output given to you, right? So this is the actual output where we have a menu on the left hand side with the categories or companies, and then we have the products being displayed on the right hand side. This is exactly the same like what we had with our menu application, the restaurant menu, which we built in the previous session. right? So this is the output that you have to create. The products are on the right hand side, the filters are on the left, right? In addition to the filters, there is also a button which is a search bar, if you can see here, right? So this search bar is basically what you have to also implement in addition to the normal menu based filtering. Every time the user types something, you have to use the on change event to read the search value and accordingly modify the search results in the right hand side itself, right? So this is very similar to what we have done for the restaurant menu with just an addition of the search bar. So that is one additional function that you have to write. The rest of it is very similar. Now, the data for this assignment is also provided. If you just scroll down, again, listen very carefully. You have to scroll down right after the image. Under the image, we have a Google Docs link. This link contains the data. So once you open the link, you will see this is a JS file. So you can just copy this products data and this is what you can use. Okay, I will repeat this once again. So the assignment link I'll put in the chat. Once I explain this to you, I will give you the link. I will also add it to the repository. But what you need to do here is you have to build a product filter, right? So this is very similar to the menu filter that we have created, wherein we have the search bar and the filters available on the left hand side. This filtering is being done based on company. So which company is selling that particular furniture. Then on the right hand side is where we are seeing the actual products. Okay. So based on whichever company we click on, for example, if you click on IKEA, the filter should apply and only IKEA products should be shown, right? Similarly, if you click on Liddy, then again, the filter should get applied and only the Liddy product should be shown. So you have to attach on-click events to these company names. In addition to this, we have a search bar, as you can see, that is also available on the left-hand side. Here, you have to work with the on-change event handler or on-change event. And every time the value in the search bar changes, whenever you type something in, at the same time, the filtering should happen, right? And again, the corresponding products which match the search criteria. Of course, product name based search will be there. So if you type chair, then all products that have the name chair, for example, here is one chair, they should be shown. Okay, so that's the assignment for you. Now, the data that you have to use for this assignment is available under the image. So if you just scroll under the image, you have a Word document, a Google document, which links to the data. You can see here there are image links as well. So you don't have to download images from anywhere. These images are available on the internet. Okay. So active working image links have been provided to you. You have the product title, the company name, the price, as well as the image. Okay. So everything that you need in terms of data for this particular assignment is available in the Google document, which is under the image. So please scroll down and there you will find the Google document link. You can just copy the entire thing as it is and use it in the set state. Again, I've shown you how to do this with the restaurant menu. There also we had local data available in the application. So you can refer to that code and build this out in a similar way. Okay, so that is your next assignment. This will be due next Friday. Okay, this assignment will be due 1 week later, next Friday. So the current assignment that you're working on, that is due by Monday. And then this assignment will be due by Friday. Okay. So I hope that makes sense. I hope you have understood how the assignment needs to be done. Again, it is very similar to what we have done with the restaurant menu, with the exception of the search bar. That's the only additional thing. Everything else is exactly the same, right? So that is the next assignment that you have to work on, right? Again, I have, okay, no problem. If I told Wednesday, so the previous assignment will be due by Wednesday and this assignment will be done by Friday. Okay, this is due by Friday. So assignment 3, React JS will be due by Wednesday. And then this assignment 4 will be due by Friday. Okay. Again, my advice or my suggestion here is you try to finish it off soon because we will also then start working on the project, right? So Monday onwards, we'll also start working on the project and that will also, then take up a lot of your time, right? So the idea is you can, try to finish off the assignment early as possible so that you can spend time on the project as well. Okay. Again, I have put the assignment link in the chat on Zoom as well, and I'm putting the same thing on the YouTube live as well. So no matter where you are, you can get the assignment link from the chat. Again, I will also add this to the repository. You will also receive an email regarding this. So either way, you should have the link with you. It is now in the chat. Okay, so both on the YouTube chat as well as the Zoom live, YouTube live as well as the Zoom chat, I've added the assignment link. Please make sure you open it, bookmark it, copy it, keep it, whatever you want. But I have shared the link with you, which means you now have the assignment link. Right? Tomorrow, don't tell me that I don't have the link and all. I've given it to you right now in the session. Okay. Again, for people who are saying that they are receiving 0 marks, it is fine. The assignment will be evaluated manually because we cannot automatically check the code of all files. So you will receive 0 when you submit this, which is fine. Okay. There is no problem with it. Right. The grade will be sent to you later after it is evaluated. At the time when you submit it, it will show you 0 only because there is no evaluation happening automatically. Okay. So yes, that is the update on the assignment. Right? Perfect. Now let us jump to today's agenda. So today we are moving to the back end of things, right? So far we have talked about HTML, CSS, front-end JavaScript, and React. So these are the 4 things that we have already covered so far, right? Now today we'll move to the back-end side of things, and we'll start by talking about something called Express.js. So again, this is built on top of Node, right? So just like we need Node.js to build React applications, in the exact same way, we need Node.js to build Express applications as well, right? So what Express does basically is it provides us the backend utility or the backend framework. Remember a couple of sessions ago, we talked about something called an API, and that's Application Programming Interface. We also used APIs more recently when we created or discussed the use state hook. So remember, we connected to something called the random user API, right? From where we were getting random user data. In the assignment, I also told you to explore the Google Books API, which is where you can get some book information from that API. So in a similar way, now what we're going to do is we are going to create our own custom APIs using Express, right? We are going to create our own custom APIs using Express. So that is basically what Express does. If I explain it to you simply with the help of an example, as you can see over here, Express becomes a middleware, right? The API for our application. So again, let me tell you how this works. Let us say that we go to a restaurant. Right? Let us say that we're going to a restaurant to have food. Now, there are 2 parts to the restaurant. There is the front end, which is all the table, chair, the seating area. That is the front end of the restaurant where you sit and eat. Then there is the kitchen, right? So kitchen is basically the back end of the restaurant, which is where you basically have all the cooking, all the ingredients, right? So all the storage, all the cooking, the processing of whatever order you have given is happening in the kitchen. That is the back end, right? Then comes the waiter. So the waiter will come to you, take your order from you, take that order, communicate it to the kitchen, get the dish from the kitchen and bring it back to you. So this middleware, this middle person, which is the waiter in our case, is the API, right? This middle person in our case is going to be the API. So what this API will do is it will read some data from our front end, which is a request. So the data will be read from there, which is okay. What do you want? Is the user trying to sign up? Is the user trying to make a payment? Is the user trying to fetch order history? What is it that the user wants to do? So that will be communicated via the request. The API then sends this data to the backend. The backend is going to connect to the database. The backend is going to connect to, all the databases, get all the logic and functionality done, and finally give some data back to the API. Just like the kitchen will prepare your dish and give it to the waiter, in the exact same way, the backend will prepare our output, give it to the API. Just like the waiter brings us the data from the kitchen and gives it to us on the table, in the exact same way, the API will take the data from the backend and give it to our React application, which will then display it on the front end, right? Now, this format of data is also something that we've seen. This data is sent in. Do you guys remember the format that we discussed? Let me know in the chat. Which format did we talk about when working with API data? Perfect, the JSON data, right? So we have seen that API, both front end and back end, communicate using a common data format called the JSON data, which is JavaScript object notation. There are other formats as well. There is something called XML data, which is also used in this case. But we majorly use JSON, that's JavaScript object notation in this case, right? So that is what we'll basically do. We'll take the data from the front end, pass it to the backend, and then eventually we write the backend logic as well, the database logic as well. But today with Express, we are focusing on creating the basic server setup, right? So again, if you remember, we have discussed something called the request response model or the client server model. And this is exactly what our focus is going to be today. What we want to do is we want to be able to read requests from the client and then return a response from our server. So far we have created what we call client facing application or single page application with React. Today, we are going to work on the other side of things, the backend, which is the server. So what we'll do is we'll create an Express server, right? We're going to create an Express server, which is going to work our backend. So this is going to be our backend utility, and this will read the request coming from the front end and send a response. Today, we'll only focus on reading and sending this data, but in the next session, we'll also focus on adding some logic to it. And then eventually we'll go to the database as well, right? So let's go ahead and take a look at how we can set this up. It's a very simple setup. To be very honest, it's a very simple setup. The command that we use is called npm init. So let me head over to VS Code. Okay, I'm going to open a new folder for today's project. So I'll just go ahead and open this up. So this is session 18. There you go. Now I'm not creating any front end for this. I'm only creating the backend today, right? So this is our folder. This is where we want to create the backend. So I'll open the terminal. The command, like we have just seen, is npm init. Okay. So pay very close attention to the terminal here. I'm going to run the command npm init. This is the command. Once we hit, again, this requires Node.js installed on your system. So in case you don't have Node.js installed, this is not going to work. This will tell you npm not found, right? Command npm not found. So again, that would mean you have to install Node. Once you have Node installed, then you can run this. So I'm going to hit enter, and you can see it says this utility will walk you through creating a package.json file. It only covers the most common items again, so we don't have to worry about reading the whole thing. What we can do is we can now focus on the input. Remember, you can see here it is waiting for our input. So this is saying package name. What package do you want to call the current project? Typically, it takes the folder name by default. As you can see, it says session 18 Express.js basics. So it takes the current folder name as the default package name. In case you want to change it, you can do that over here. So we can say, for example, backend project. In case we want to change it, we can go ahead and type it in. If we don't want to change it, if we want the default name to be taken, we can just hit enter. Okay. This takes us to the next line. And this is the next information that we have to provide. Is this the first version? Is this version 1.0.0? Yes, this is the first version. So again, we can hit enter. If there is any modification, if you're working on a later version, we can change that. Now, this version naming scheme here is very important. When we say 1.0.0, we have 3 digits. The first digit here corresponds to a major version, right? Like we have Windows 10, Windows 11, right? Windows 8, Windows 8.1. Those are major releases. So that is the first thing here. Okay, that is the major version 1.0. So again, if you are going through, like if you are making a major change in the application, we change the major version. Okay, that is the version name, the first thing, the first digit in the version number. Then we have the middle value. So we have 3 values. The first is the major version. Then the middle value refers to a subversion, right? So typically, if you consider operating systems, Microsoft now releases one version every 3 months. So every quarter, they release a new version. So that would be, for example, Windows 11.1, 11.2, 11.3, 11.4, something like that, right? Typically, for a real world application, whenever you deliver a new feature, which is a broader feature, like let's say you're working on 3, 4 weeks, 5 weeks, or 2, 3 months, and then releasing all the features together, that makes it a bigger version, which is the middle value. So again, major version, then a minor version, which is the middle value. And then these individual features that you add, they become the last thing. So for example, let us say that Microsoft added a new feature called Copilot. So Copilot was added, let us say, in the version 11.2. So let us say there are 10 different features that were added in 11.2. So that would be 11.2.1 first feature, 11.2.2 second feature, 11.2.3 third feature, and so on till 11.2.10. So all the individual features that are added in a minor version, they make up the third digit here, right? So again, we have 3 digits for a version naming. The first thing is the major version. Typically, this is changed very less, right? Let's say once a year or twice a year at best. We don't change this very often. Then we have the middle version. This changes more frequently. Every month, every 2 months, every 3 months, depending on the company, this will change. Some companies also change it every 15 days. Then we have the individual feature numbers. So every feature that is released within 15 days or every feature that is released within 30 days, that gets its own unique number. Okay, so this is the version naming that we follow. Again, in this case, we'll stick to 1.0.0. And since we are using the default value, we can just hit enter. That brings us to the third field, which is description. Okay. So in the case of description, again, you can write a line about the project if you want to. For example, this is the backend for our application, for example, or this is the Express backend. You can write a description if you want. You can also skip it if you don't want it. It doesn't really matter to the project. Then we have the entry point. Now this is important. Most people use the default naming convention, which is index.js, because in the case of React also, we have a file called index. So both index.js and index.js easier to remember, but some people also call server.js. So this is a developer's choice. This depends on the convention that you want to follow, right? So you can either use server.js or index.js. Whatever name you put here, that is the name that you have to create or give to the file that we create next. I'm going to stick to the default name, that is index.js. But this is developer's choice. If you want to give it any other name, you can give that name, no problem. The convention is to either call it index.js or server.js, one of the two. So I'm going to call it index.js. Again, I leave it empty and press enter. Then we have the test command. Now, in this case, we don't really want to test it out, so I will skip this. I will skip this by pressing enter. If we are using a test, let's say we're using a test package, there are a lot of packages, something called a jest. So that's a test package available. If we are writing test cases or test scripts, then we'll put that test command. But for our setup, we don't do that. So I'll skip it. Then there is the next option for Git repository. Okay. So this again would basically mean, do you already have an existing repository that you want to initialize with? We can put that in here. I will skip this. By default, it will not initialize Git. So unless we put a repository URL here, it is not going to initialize Git, unlike React. So if you remember, in the case of React, Git is automatically initialized in the front end. That we don't have to manually initialize it. But here it will not automatically happen unless we specify the repository. Then we have keywords. So you can say Express.js, backend, if you want to. Again, this is optional. In some cases where the projects are bigger, we might put certain keywords to make sure that we understand which project is this a part of. In our case, I'll skip this. Then author, now here you can write your name. I will write my name. And then the license can also be ISC. This is the open source international license. We can leave it default. Then I will press enter. As soon as I do this, you will see it is asking us for a confirmation. Is this okay? And on the top here, it says, or it shows us a bunch of values which is nothing but an object created by the values that we have just given, right? So name, version, description, main file, author, everything that we have just given, we can say yes. You can also just press enter and it will take yes. Now, as soon as we confirm these details, it will create a new file, which is our package.json file, right? So if you remember, in the case of React also, package.json gets automatically created with the help of the npx create react app command. In the backend, we write everything from scratch. So we don't have a ready-made initialize backend command. We have to create the package.json first with npm in it, and then we'll write the server-side logic step by step, right? So now over here, we can remove the test command from here. We don't really need this, right? So we can just delete this and the rest of it can stay. This is when you want to have custom values, right? This is when we want to provide some custom values to the package.json file. I'll just delete this and I'll show you one more approach. If we don't have any custom values and we want to use all the default values, just like what we have done for most of the things, if we don't want to give any custom value, what we can do is we can simply say npm init dash y or npm init hyphen y. This is a shortcut for creating the package.json file. By default, it will take all the default or all the basic values that were shown to us by default, right? So it will automatically take all the default values and create it without asking us for any input. So that shortcut is npm init hyphen y. Basically means say yes to everything. So use all the default parameters and generate the file without taking any input. Now, as soon as we do this again, our package.json gets created, as you can see, right? And again, this contains all the default values. We can remove the test script for now. Okay, so this is how we can install or create our package.json for the backend. Okay, so again, you can either run npm init and provide custom values in case you want it, or you can just use npm init hyphen y and then make some changes if you want. If there is only one or two values where you need changes, use the shortcut to create the whole thing, and then just go ahead and you can make the changes directly in the package.json file itself, right? Is this clear? Have you understood how to create this file? Just let me know in the chat. Yes, understood, clear. Just put something like that so I know you have understood this, and we'll move to the next part. Right? Perfect. Great. Now I will give you some time to create this as well. I just want to explain one more thing to you. Once I explain that to you, then I'll give you 5 to 10 minutes to experiment with this so that you can also try this out. I'll also show you 2, 3 plugins that we will add to VS Code, which will help us make this easier. Right? Perfect. So now let's go ahead and create our actual backend file, which is going to be called index.js. Okay, index.js. Remember, we have used the default name over here, index.js. In case you use server.js while creating the package.json, then you should name this server.js. Since we have used the default value, we are calling it index.js, right? Now, within this index, what we want to do is we want to write the logic for our backend, but we can't really work with this just like that. To work with our backend, first we need access to some packages, namely the Express package in this case. So how does that work? Well, we can go to terminal, new terminal, and then run npm I, right? So what we do is we run npm install, just like we install packages in React. We run npm I or npm install, and then specify all the package names. Now we will be exploring 7 to 10 different packages in the next session. But for today, we'll explore only one package known as the Express package. This gives us access to the Express.js code or the Express.js framework, right? So I have run npm install Express, and you can see it added about 64 packages that come with Express. You can check the whole list out in node modules. You can see there are so many packages that have now been installed, and our package.json has also been updated. You can see there is a dependencies key that has been added with one value currently, which is the Express package details, right? Express package details. So this is the next step. After we create our package.json file, the next step is to create the index.js file. and then install all the dependencies that we're going to need. In this case, we need something called Express. So we have just opened the terminal and ran the command npm install Express. Okay, that gives us access to the Express package. Now, let's go ahead and use that over here. So we can say on Express is equal to require Express. Just like we import something in React. Remember, we say import this from the package name. In a similar way, in the backend logic, this is the syntax. We say const express is equal to require express. This helps us get the express package into our code. Just like we say import React from React or import useState from React. In a similar way, we are saying const express is equal to require express, right? Perfect. Now, the next step is to create our application. To create this, we can say const app is equal to express. This is the command to create our Express application on the backend, right? Then we can start this app or run this app using the app.listen function. So basically, remember we talked about the client server model again. So what happens is whenever we start the server, the app starts to listen for requests. That's why we have app.listen. It is going to listen for all the incoming requests. And then based on whatever comes in, accordingly, it will respond with something, right? Now here we specify two things. We have to specify the port number on which we want the app to run, and then a callback function where we can write some success message. So we can say, for example, console.log back, let's call it server started, something like this. Okay. So now when we start running our backend server, we are going to call this. Basically, whenever we say npm start for our backend, it will basically run this method app.listen. It will open the server on this port, and then the message console.log should be shown to us in the URL or in the console. Let's check. So I'll go to the terminal. I will say npm start. As soon as we run npm start, we run into an error, as you can see, and it says the start command is missing. This needs to be set in package.json. In addition to this, or as an alternative to this, we can specify node index.js. As soon as I write that command, you can see it immediately says server started. And you will see this will not stop the command. The terminal will be frozen here until the server is running. Okay. So until the server keeps running, the terminal cannot be accessed. That is the backend logic. The server will continuously keep running, right? And we can fetch or we can get as many requests as we want from the client. Unless we stop the server on our own, the server will not automatically stop. Okay. So yes, now what we can do is we can add the start script over here itself. So in the scripts, we can say start and we can specify node index.js. This is going to be our start script. Now I can stop the server with Control C, just like we stop a React application. And then we can go ahead and say node index.js, or we can say npm start in this case. So let me clear the terminal and then I will run npm start. You will see when I run npm start, it will go to our package.json, see the script, run node index.js on its own, and then it gives us the output server started. Okay. Now what I will do is I will repeat the whole thing to you, right? I will tell you the whole setup once again, and then I want you to experiment with it. Okay. Before this, I will install one more package, which is crucial for working with backend. It is called node-mon. The problem with backend is that whenever we make any change to our code, it will not restart like React does. So remember, in the case of React, the code will automatically restart every time we save the file. Any file, we make any change and we save it, it will refresh or reload the browser. That does not happen by default in the case of the backend. So for this, we have a package available, which is called node-mon. Short, it is short for node monitor. So again, the package is nodemon. Here we have to specify one more thing, which is -d. The reason why we put -d is that this is going to be a developer dependency, which means it has got nothing to do with the actual output. This will only be used while development. Okay, I will press enter over there and it's going to go ahead and install the package for us. And then in our package.json, if you see, we have another section called dev dependencies, and that is where nodemon shows up. Then we'll change our command from node.js to nodemon index.js. Now, every time we make any change in our index file, it will automatically reload. Okay, it will automatically reload in the terminal. Let's check. So we run npm start. Okay, server started running, and you will see here it says watching path. So it is going to take a look, keep a track of what is going on. Let us say we just make some change here and I save it. You can see immediately it will restart the file, or it will restart our server. Okay, so that is what nodemon does. It's a very critical package. Every developer uses it when working on the backend, right? Perfect. Now let me go ahead and quickly explain this approach once again, and then you can go ahead and create your own backend as well. So what I will do is I will just write this down as comments, right? I'll just write the steps down and then I leave them on the screen so that you can practice this. So step one, create a new folder for backend and open it in VS Code, right? Obviously. Step two, open the terminal and run npm index-y command. This will create package.json for us. To create package.json, okay, then create a new file called index.js. This will be the starting point of our program. Once we create this, open the terminal and install packages. So install packages. What all packages do we want? Well, we want npm install express. This is the only package that we need, right? Then after this, we need one more package. So open the terminal and install dev packages. This is going to be npm install -d nodemon. Okay. Then add start script package.json, which is basically this line. I will copy this part and keep it so that you know what I'm talking about, right? So this is what we have to add within our scripts in the package.json. Start nodemon index.js. Okay. Then import, or let's use the term require express package with, and I'll type this line, const express equal to require express. This is in index.js file with this line of code, right? Const express equal to require express. Once we have the express package, then create a new instance, the express server. Okay, so this is going to be the second line of code, const app equal to express, right? And then finally, step 9 is to initialize, or write the code to start the server or run the server, either way. This is going to be these 3 lines. So I'll just put that over here as well so that you can see everything together, right? So this is done. Finally, step 10, open the terminal. So that's terminal and run npm start to run the server. Okay, so when you run this server, you should be able to see a message which will show you server started. Message that we have written in the console log over here, right? So these are all the steps that you have to now follow to create your backend. I'll keep everything on the screen so that you can see the whole setup. You can see the whole 10 lines, all the 10 lines together, right? And now I want you to take a few minutes and try this out. Okay, so I'll wait for about 7 to 10 minutes. This is very important because even in your projects, you will have to do this every time. Every time you create the backend for a project, you have to do the setup. So I will leave these instructions on the screen and I will give you a few minutes, right? 7 to 10 minutes. Please go ahead, follow these step by step very carefully and reach a point where you can see when you run npm start, like you can see in my case, when I run npm start, it shows me server started. So this is your expected output. This is your final goal. in the terminal. Okay, you should be able to see that in the terminal. Okay, so I'll just zoom in. I'll keep this on the screen, right? And you can experiment with this. Okay, perfect. So here are all the instructions. I'll just give you 7 to 10 minutes. I'll off the video and the mic for a few minutes. You can experiment with this. And as soon as you're done trying this out, just put a done in the chat so that I know that you're done. If you have any doubts or questions, please put them in the chat as well, and I will help you out. So go ahead, try this out. I'll wait for a few minutes. It's 6:45 around now. Let's come back in 10 minutes and continue. Okay. Yes. So we are back. Let me know in the chat if you're able to complete this by now. Hopefully you have. But yes, do let me know in the chat if this is done. And if you have any doubts, questions, getting any errors, please share those as well. And I'll help you out with those before we continue to the next part. Okay, done, completed. Okay, perfect. No errors as such. Great. Again, if you face any problem, you can always watch the recording later and see a rerun of the setup. Perfect. Now that this is done, the next thing that we have to do is to actually make it functional. As of now, there is no functionality that we have written. All we are saying is when you basically start the server will start running, but it is not listening for anything right now, and is not sending anything back as well right now, which is what the next part is going to focus on. Right? So we have seen how to create a new Express server. We have also now we'll see how to return a response, right? And then once we do that, we'll take a look at another extension available in VS Code to test it. But first, let us write some logic such that the server will actually send something back out. Now, we will have another detailed discussion on this in the next session where we talk about RESTful APIs and HTTP requests. So that is something that we'll discuss in detail later. But for now, just understand that when I use the get method, it will basically mean that the server should send something to the user, right? That's it. That's what you need to know. The get method is required when the server is supposed to send something to the user. Okay. So to initialize the get method or to create the get method, the function is or the command is app.get. Okay, this is it. Just like get, we have a couple of other methods like post method, put method, delete method, etc. We will talk about them in the next session. Okay, today we are only focusing on the get method because we want to return something to the user. Perfect. Now, here also we have a callback, and within this callback, we can specify whatever logic we want. So first we write request and response. These are the two parameters that we read from the user. And then at the end of the day, what we want to do is we can say response.send. Response.send. And then what do we want to send? We want to send, let's say, hello from the server. Let us assume that we are sending this message back to the user. Hello from the server. There is one more argument that we have to give here, which is which path is this going to work on? We have about, home, contact, so many different paths on our application. So which path will this request come from? So that can be specified like this. Slash would mean home. So this basically means on the front end side, as soon as you open the home path, you will receive this response from the server. How can we test it? Well, we can start the server first. So let's start this with npm start. And then we can open our browser and go to this port 3001. So let's do that. I'm opening up the browser here. I'm going to localhost /3001. And immediately you will notice we get a response on the screen. So this is hello from the server, right? This is at the home path or the home route. Why? Because we are listening to a request on the home route. Right now, if I just go to any other route, let's say we go to the about route, you can see it just cannot get about. Basically, what this is saying is there is no get method written for this about page. Right? So here we have written a get method for the home page. So in a similar way, it is telling us there is no get method written for the about page. Now, what I want you to do as a quick challenge is to write a get method like this for the about page and just respond by saying this is the about page. Okay, I'll give you 5 minutes for this. What I want you to do is to write the get method for the about page. And that should just respond with this is the about page. Very simple. Okay. So again, I'll keep the code on the screen. This is what you have to create. Go ahead and try this out. I want you to write a route for the about page. Write a get request for the a get method for the about page and just respond with this is the about page. Once you're done with that, put your code in the chat. Copy paste your code in the chat. Let's see who gets it right first. So I'll give you 2 to 3 minutes. It should not take more than that. The sample code or the reference code is already on the screen. Okay, perfect. So we are seeing a couple of responses in the chat already, and that is exactly correct. So Kumar, a package.json will automatically be updated. So every time you run the npm install command, the package.json will automatically be updated. You don't have to worry about it. So yes, node modules will get created, and also the package lock file will get created. You don't have to modify those. Whatever we do will be in the terminal itself, right? Perfect. So now the code is going to be very simple. We can just say app.get slash about, and then we can just respond with the page. Okay. Now there are a couple of different ways to send a response as well. For example, let us say that we want to send JSON data as the response. Let me create another route. Let us say slash data. Okay. Now, what we can do is instead of response dot send, we can say response dot JSON. And then over here, we have to pass in a JSON object. So for example, let us say we are passing in username and then let's say John123. Okay. So this is the JSON data that we are returning in this case using app.get. Yes, so Venkat Vamshi has a good question. Is there any possibility to create Express app like React? Yes, there is actually. So if you go to the official documentation, so that is Express.js, you will see the, kind of the installation basically. So if you go to getting started, you can see here there are a couple of different ways to create this, right? And there is also something called the Express generator. So just like we have the create React app, we have something called Express generator. This is what you can use. So this is the command npx express generator. This is going to give you a lot of things though. It is not just going to give you the basic, but it gives you a lot of different files which we don't really need. But yes, there is a way to create it. That is npx express generator. You can experiment with this later on. Okay, I will give this link in the chat. You can check it out later on if you want to. So this is the express generator, but again it generates a lot of extra files and we don't really need them in most cases, so that's why I didn't cover it. Right, coming back to the point here. So here we are sending a response hello from the server. Here also we are sending a response from the server, but in this one we are actually sending a JSON response. Similarly, if you want to send a file that is downloadable, you can respond with that file. Okay, so there is also response.file, for example, right? Response.send file, and we can send a file which will then be downloaded. So here we have to give the path to the file and that will be downloaded. So whenever we click on a download button, it is basically response.send file, right? But either way, we have a lot of different things that we can experiment with. Now, the final part of today is how do we actually test it without the browser or without any front end? See, for example, right now, if I go to about, I will see about page. If I go to data, I will see the data as well. You can see this now changes to the API style data format that we have seen with random user and Google Books API because we are sending JSON data, right? But typically we don't really want to check this in the browser every time. Okay, there is a much better way to test this piece of code, which is with the help of something called Thunder client. Okay, so this is an extension. Again, you can go to the extensions menu on the left and install it. It is called Thunder client. I will also show the name on the screen here, right? So this is the extension. It's called Thunder client. This extension will basically mimic a browser. So we basically have to give the URL just like we do in the browser. And this shows us the response that it receives from the server. And that is done within VS Code. So we don't have to leave VS Code or go outside VS Code to test anything. Okay, that's the basic setup. right? So let's take a look at how this can be done. So again, in VS Code, in the left extensions menu, you can go there, search for this extension called Thunder Client. It has this lightning icon that you can install. Okay. Once we install this, we can then open it up. So to open it up, it shows up as an icon in the left menu itself, right? So if you see, right, if you see over here, no, there, there it is in my case, right? So it shows up as an icon in the left menu itself, typically under the extensions panel, right? Now what we can do is we can go ahead and we can click on that. That will bring up this interface and we can select new request. Okay, so I'll create new request and let's go back to our request now. So once you open a new request, it opens up like a file. As you can see, just like we have index.js, it opens up like a file. Here we can type the URL and choose the method. So right now we are working with the get method. We'll explore some of these other methods in the next session, right? Let us get the URL from the browser. So this is the URL, localhost 3001. And then let's go ahead and send. So as soon as you click on the send button, you will see it shows us the response directly over here within VS Code. If the route does not exist, then we will also see the error. You can see 404 not found. It means this package, this route does not exist. You can see it says cannot get, exactly like what we saw in the browser. So as long as it's a valid route, you can see it gives us a valid response. This is the about page. And then if we go to the data route, this will also show us the JSON data that we get. It also shows us the size of the data and the time it took to fetch it, right? So you can see this is a very handy extension, a very useful extension that is available to us in VS Code. Okay, so you can also install this and experiment with it. Again, what we have done so far is we have just created a bunch of different routes. These are called get routes. Okay. The reason why we call them get or the get method is basically available when we want to return something from the server back to the client. We don't really want to read anything from the user at this point. We just want to send something back. In the next session, we'll also take a look at how to get some user data, right? For example, let us say that the user wants to filter products based on a particular value, or the user wants to give us some input based on which we want to process it. So we'll discuss how to read that data from the user as well later on. But for now, what we are able to do is to create a server. And within this server, we are able to provide two working routes, two working paths to the user. These routes are called API endpoints. You might have heard of this term very often, API endpoint. So these are our API endpoints. We have two endpoints. One is the slash endpoint, and then one is the slash data endpoint. So this is one endpoint. This is one endpoint. This is what we have, right? So this is how the whole setup is, and this is how it will work. Okay, so this is the fundamental Express setup. This is how we create it. And then we use something like Thunder Client. There are other options as well, but Thunder Client is typically very common. And if you see the number of installs also, you will see that about 34 lakh installs are available for Thunder Client. So it's a really good extension. And yes, that is available for free to us within VS Code. So we can test everything out directly over here. Eventually, like in the last two sessions, we'll see how to fetch this data on the front end as well. So we'll be creating an application which will contain both backend and front end. And then we'll see how to put it all together later on. But for the next two sessions, that is the next session and the other one, it's Monday and Wednesday, we'll be focusing on this itself. We'll be focusing on Express, right? So two Express sessions. In one session, we'll discuss the uh, API endpoint setup. So how do you create the whole CRUD part, right? So right now we're only using the get method. We have post method, put, patch, delete. So we'll discuss how to work with those. Then we'll take a look at authentication in one session. So that's going to be focused solely on authentication, which is how do you protect a route? How do you tell the user they are authenticated, stuff like that. And then finally, we'll focus on MongoDB. Right? So then two sessions on MongoDB and two sessions on the project. And that is basically going to be it. So about 6 more sessions are left after this one, we have about 6 more sessions, two on Express, two on MongoDB, and then two final sessions where we put it all together into a project. Okay, perfect. So this is what we've discussed in today's session. We have taken a look at three major things. Number one, we have understood the role of Express. Number two, we have seen how to create an Express application. And number three, we have seen how to test an Express application with Thunder Client. Right. So before we jump into the next part, let's quickly take a few questions as always. So I'm going to put them on the screen one by one. You can choose the correct answer and put it in the chat. Here's the first question. Again, you can just put 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever you think is the correct response in the chat. Okay. So there seems to be a bit of confusion between 1 and 2. Well, this is not a front-end framework. So definitely the correct answer is option 2. It's a backend JavaScript framework. Here is the second question. Right. So yes, the correct option here is option 3. That is get. Get method is what we have seen today, and that is what we use as well. Right. Here's the next question. Right. And the final answer to this question is 1. Right. So response.send will send a response with the provided data. If we don't specify anything, it will just send it as an HTML data, right? On the other hand, if we put response.json or response.send file, then it will send the JSON data or the file accordingly, right? So this is what we have in terms of our Express setup so far. Now, a quick recap of what we have seen in terms of the assignment as well. So for people who have just joined, again, everything in the repository is updated till the previous session. But more importantly, the next assignment is now available, right? So this is the assignment. Okay, I think I ran out of time for the assignment, but let me just show this to you. So this is the next assignment that we are working with. This is now available on TapTap. I will also give the link in the chat. I've also given it in the beginning of the session. I'll also put that in again. But this is what the assignment looks like. And again, what we have here is a menu on the left-hand side, right? This menu contains a few filters based on company names. So we have all IKEA, Marcos, etc. So these are the filters that are available. So once we click on this filter, it should automatically filter the products here on the right hand side. In addition to this, we also have a search bar which should read the input from the user. And whenever the user types something in, it should update the results accordingly. So again, the whole filter bit is something that we've already discussed in the restaurant menu project, which we made in the previous session. The only challenge that is going to be here for you is working on the search bar. So that is the only thing that you have to figure out. Now, the data for this assignment is available under the image. So once you scroll down, you will see a link over here. This is the link to a Google document which contains the products data. This contains the ID, the title, the company name, which is the filter, and the image. Okay. So this image is a working URL. You don't have to download anything from anywhere. Just put this image directly in the source and it will open it up. This is coming from the internet, right? So you don't have to worry about downloading images and any of that. Just use this data and you should be good to go. So again, we have provided you with the data. We have provided you with the sample output. And again, as always, you have to upload your file. So make a zip folder, which is going to contain your React code. Make sure you remove node modules, right? Please remove node modules folder and then add your public folder, source folder, and the package files, and make a zip file and upload that over here. Okay, so that is going to be how you submit this. The deadline for this assignment is going to be next Friday. Okay, so you get 1 week for this. The deadline is going to be next Friday. Okay, now I'm going to help with a couple of questions that are there in the chat. So let me actually take a couple of questions now and let's see if I can answer them. And in the meanwhile, I've also asked for the feedback link to be shared. So hopefully that will also be available in just a minute. For people who are asking the topic name, this is the topic for today. It is Express.js Basics. So this is your topic name for the day. Make sure you note it down. And yeah, that's the answer to that. Now there are a couple of error questions, I think, on YouTube Live, and one is there also in the Zoom as well. SSL routines. Sejit Kumar, you should not be getting any SSL errors. I'm not sure where this error is coming from. So please tell me which file is this error coming from, and I should be able to help you, right? To run on localhost, Venkat, again, you have to do two things. One, you have to go to your package.json and then add this start script. If you don't want to do this, then you can run the command node index.js. That will pull it up on localhost. The reason why it is running on localhost is because we are specifying a local port here. We specify 3001. That's a local port, and that's why it will run on localhost. So two options. One, directly you can run node index.js in the terminal, or add the start script and then run npm start. These are the two ways to make this available on localhost. So yes, Krishna, you're getting the same problem. So if you get an error saying missing script start, that means you have not added this line to the package.json file. So please go to package.json and add this start script. Remember, in the instructions that I gave to you, I explicitly mentioned add start script to package.json. This is what had to be added. Okay. So if you have followed the instructions carefully, you would have received the output correctly. If not, then you probably skipped this line. So please go ahead and add that in and you should be good. Yes. So Arvind will focus on the route creation and they're working in the next session. So like I said, all the API stuff, the HTTP methods and requests, we are going to focus on in the next one. Right. For now, I just wanted to discuss the basics. So we have just discussed those. And yes, now we can go ahead and discuss the other things in the next part. This is you're in the wrong folder here, Kunal, right? This is Kumar. Kumar, you are in the wrong folder. The command should run from the correct folder. You are running in session index, but actually your code is inside source. So this is not the way to create an Express project. This is a React structure. So I'm not sure if you're running the React project or an Express project here. This looks like a React project to me, but then the React project will not have this command. It will automatically contain your thing. So I think you're confused between the two. I'm not sure what this is. It's a very weird code here. Again, if you notice my Express structure, it's very simple. I just have two files, index.js and package.json. That is it. We don't need a source folder. We don't need public HTML. We don't need any of that. Okay, just two files and you should be good to go. Yes. So again, Venkat, if nodemon is not recognized, again, if you see the instructions, I have explicitly written open the terminal and install dev packages. This is the command. So you probably skipped this command. Please run npm install -d nodemon. Make sure the D is capital. You also have to run npm install express. So I'll just keep this on the screen. I think a lot of you have just skipped these things and randomly you're just trying to, uh, you know, create this. Yes, Geeta, I think that should be good. If one member from the team fills up the form, we should be good. So yes, Arvind, the question that you're excuse me. The question that you're asking, how do we use these paths? So this is created on the front end, Arvind, right? So the path that we mentioned here, which is this slash data or this slash, this is actually the React routes. Remember, we created React routes, which were available on the front end. Those are the exact routes that we put over here. So that's the connection between the two. No, Shasikara, you have to choose people from your own college. You can't choose people from other colleges. So yes, please make sure you choose people from your own college because it has to be graded by your university, right? So it has to be within your college itself. Lakshmi, you can install a later version, I think, and also your node spelling is incorrect. So it is NODE. Try to use the correct spelling. Hopefully it will work. Yes, so Mahima, you will have to reach out to your college point of contact if you feel incorrect details. So guys, please remember the form is very sensitive, right? The data that we get from the team leads form is going to be very critical. So please double check everything before you fill it. Don't make mistakes in that form. It's going to be very difficult to rectify. Okay. So please don't make any mistakes over there. Try to fill it once properly. Yes, so Pawan has already put the assignment link in the chat. The feedback link has also been shared in the chat. Please make sure you fill that in, right? And yes, that is basically it for this session. Again, for people who are getting all these errors, please make sure you follow these 10 instructions carefully. I've written everything down step by step over here, right? I've given names, commands, everything. If you run these 10 lines as instructed, you should not get any errors in the terminal. Okay, it should work perfectly fine. Okay. Okay, let me find the attendance thing. It's already shared above. Let me just find it and I will share it once again. Yes, so I've shared the feedback link, the attendance link again in the chat. Please make sure you fill that in. And yes, so regarding the project, the update is that a form has been sent out to all of you. I am sure everybody must have received it on your email. Please open the form. In the form, there is project topics and team details that need to be submitted in a form. So in the email that you have received, you will have a form. Please open that up. In the form, you have to choose a project title and mention all your team members. Okay. So again, the instructions are written in the email. Please follow those instructions carefully and submit it once only. Okay. Once only. Don't submit it every time or multiple times, because again, this is going to be sent to your college and the grading is going to be done based on this data. So make sure there are no mistakes in the form. Submit it properly once. Okay, that's it. If you have any further doubts regarding projects, please reply to that email. Please reach out to the support team or your college POC. I really can't help you with other project questions. The only thing that I know is that the emails have been sent and you have to basically, modify that. So for people who are getting this error that you can see now on my screen, it says address already in use. So this probably means that you already have another terminal running. So just change the port number from 3001, change it to 3002, 3003, something else, and that should work fine, right? So I think this is the solution to that problem. And this was Venkat, right? Venkat Tarun. I hope I've answered your question. That is the answer. And yes, so Lakshmi, the command that you're running is incorrect. I have put your error on the screen now. The command is npx create react app. So the command that you're running is incorrect. Right? The command that you have to actually use is this. It is npx, then create. Again, it's very important that you follow this exactly. Create react app and then the app name. That's it. This is the command. Don't follow any other command, just this one command to create the React application. Okay. npx create react app, the app name. Okay. This is not a node command. You cannot see, React and Node are two different things. Okay, so this is not how you create a Node application. For a Node application, like we have discussed, the command is npm init. For a React application, the command is npx create react app. Okay, they are two different things. React is front end, Node is back end. There is no connection between the two codes at all. Rahul, you have to pick one project. Right? Just pick one project from the form that you want to build or your team wants to build, and that's it. You don't have to make multiple projects. Just pick one from the list. It's a choice given to you. That's what you have to pick. Okay. Uh, So Nani from the YouTube live, like I already mentioned, if any one person fills the form, it will be okay. But please make sure you don't fill it differently. It should not happen that your name shows up in two different teams. As long as only once the name is showing up, it should work fine. Okay. So yes, that's the idea with the form. Okay. And yes, I'm also just sharing the feedback link as well. Just give me 1 minute. Okay, done. I've shared the feedback link on YouTube live as well. If you guys stop commenting, only then you will see the link. Otherwise, it will again go away. So please stop writing comments now and just see the link. Okay, I've pasted it several times in the YouTube chat, and I'm also pasting it in the Zoom chat as well. So please make sure you fill the feedback in before you leave. And yes, that is it for this session. I hope you have understood, right? Yes, I hope you have understood the fundamentals of Express. That's what we are focusing on. Like I said, the next two sessions are also going to be on Express. So yes, let's meet on Monday and take it up from there. Please make sure you submit the project form, the team details form as soon as possible, at latest by tomorrow. Try to finish it off so that on Monday we can actually start working on the projects, right? So yes, that is it for this one. Thank you so much, you guys, for attending. I will see you in the next session. Again, for people who are asking for the topic, this is today's topic, Express.js basics. This is the topic for the session, right? So yes, that's it for this one. I'll see you guys again on Monday. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye.